DG Manny, you can.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. And welcome to this G Local webinar that is sponsored by the Asia Pacific Evaluation Association on advancing the Tokyo Call for Action for Strong National Evaluation Systems. We're going to have a very spirited panel, but before then, I'd like to turn it over to the organizers of this webinar to explain to you the origin and what we hope to accomplish. So first, I would like to ask Dr. Yoko Ishida, President of APEA, to please deliver the opening remarks. Yoko, over to you.
Thank you very much. So I think you can hear me, right? Okay. So good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to colleagues joining us from across the Asia Pacific region and beyond. It is my great pleasure as President of the Asia Pacific Evaluation Association to warmly welcome you to this APEA webinar series session organized as part of Global Evaluation Week 2026. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to our moderator, Mr. Emmanuel Jimenez, Director General of the Independent Evaluation Department of Asia Development Bank, for joining us today and for supporting this important dialogue. I would also like to thank our distinguished speakers and partners from governments, parliaments, BOPES, academia, and international organizations. Today's theme, Advancing the Tokyo Call for Action for Strong National Evaluation Systems, is both timely and important. The Tokyo Call for Action, adopted at the 5th APEA conference in Tokyo in November 2025, represents a shared regional commitment to strengthening evaluation systems as a foundation for good governance, accountability, transparency, and sustainable development. Building on earlier regional efforts, such as the Manila Declaration and the Colombo Declaration, the Tokyo Call for Action emphasizes that the evaluation should not remain an isolated technical exercise. Rather, it must become an institutionalized and trusted function embedded within national governance systems. In today's increasingly complex world, the importance of credible evidence and trusted evaluation is growing more than ever. So at the same time, we also recognize that building strong national evaluation system is not easy. It requires political commitment, institutional capacity, professional leadership, sustainable financing, and strong collaboration among multiple stakeholders. That is why today's panel is especially meaningful. We are bringing together perspectives from government, parliamentarians, BOPE leadership, and international development partners to reflect not only on opportunities, ability, and the future vision of national evaluation systems. I hope today's conversation will inspire stronger partnerships and concrete follow-up actions across our region and beyond. Let us continue working together to ensure that evaluation contributes not only to better policies and programs, but also to stronger public trust and more inclusive and sustainable societies. So thank you very much, and I wish you all rich and engaging discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ishida-san, for your stirring words. Now I would like to invite Romulo Miral Jr., Romy, as we like to call him, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the Congressional Policy and Budget Research Office of the House of Representatives of the Government of the Philippines. So, Romy, over to you for your opening remarks.
Thank you, Manny. Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, as the case may be, to our distinguished panelists, colleagues, development partners, and members of the evaluation community, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department of the House of Representatives of the Philippines, it is my honor to welcome you to this important APEA webinar series on advancing the Tokyo Call for Action for strong national evaluation systems. For many years, much of my work has involved reviewing the national budget, the law that transforms government priorities into concrete programs and services for our people. Over time, I have come to realize that our discussions in government often focus heavily on how much we spend rather than on what we actually achieve. We debate about allocation, utilization rates, and expenditures, but not always whether our programs are truly improving lives, reducing inequality, strengthening communities, or delivering meaningful outcomes. For me, this underscores a deeper challenge confronting many governments today: the need to build a stronger culture of monitoring, evaluation, learning, and evidence-based decision-making. In an increasingly complex world marked by fiscal pressures, social challenges, misinformation, and rising public expectations, governments can no longer rely solely on assumptions, traditions, or political narratives. We need institutions that are capable of asking difficult questions, measuring results honestly, learning from both successes and failures, and continuously improving public action. This is why the Tokyo Call for Action is so important and timely. It reminds us that monitoring and evaluation are not merely technical tools. They are essential to democratic governance, accountability, transparency, and public trust. Evaluation helps ensure that public resources are used wisely and that policies and programs genuinely respond to the needs of citizens. The call also correctly emphasizes the strong evaluation system must be institutionalized. Evaluation cannot remain an isolated exercise conducted only when required by donors or external partners. It must become part of everyday practice of governance, embedded in planning, budgeting, legislation implementation, and parliamentary oversight. For legislatures and parliamentary institutions, this responsibility is particularly important. Parliamentarians are not only lawmakers, they are also guardians of public accountability and stewards of public resources. Strong evaluation systems provide legislatures with the evidence needed to improve laws, scrutinize budgets, strengthen oversight, and ensure that government programs truly deliver results. In the Philippines, we continue to advance discussions on evidence-based governance, public financial management reform, and stronger oversight institutions. We recognize that building strong national evaluation systems is not a one-time reform effort. It is a continuing process of institutional learning, capacity building, and cultivating a governance culture that values evidence, transparency, and results. This webinar, therefore, comes at a timely moment. It provides an important opportunity to reflect on progress since the adoption of the Tokyo Call for Action, to learn from diverse country experiences, and to identify practical pathways toward more resilient, credible, and sustainable national evaluation system. I wish to express my sincere appreciation to the Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, the Asian Development Bank, the World Bank, United Nations Population Fund, our organizers, moderators, and distinguished panelists for convening this important dialogue. May our discussion contribute to strengthening evidence-based policymaking, democratic accountability, and ultimately better development outcomes for our people. Thank you very much and magandang gabi to everyone.
Thank you very much, Romy. Both you and Ishida-san have laid out the challenges for us in this webinar. You have clearly articulated why it is so important to build M&E systems in government systems around the region. But you've also laid out important challenges. This is a long-term task that requires capacity building. So we're very lucky to have with us today or this evening a distinguished group of panelists to discuss how we can turn the declarations that have been had in Manila and Colombo, as Ishida-san mentioned, into the actions that were discussed in Tokyo. So our panelists include Kazim Abbas Shah, Director of Monitoring and Evaluation, Planning Commission, Government of Pakistan. Welcome, Kazim. Ramesh Podia,
Thank you.
Executive Committee Member, Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation. Welcome, Ramesh.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Yuriko Minamoto, President of the Japan Evaluation Society. Welcome, Yuriko.
Thank you.
And Jos Vesen, Chief Evaluation Officer and Senior Advisor of the Independent Evaluation Group of the World Bank. Welcome, Jos.
Thank you, Nani.
So why don't we start with a question to each of our panelists. And I'll start with Kazim, Ramesh, and Yuriko first. From your different perspectives as representing government, parliament, and VOPES, on what the priority actions are for your constituents. What do we need to undertake in order to institutionalize M&E in either your countries or your associations? And if you could also tell us, in the 6 months since the call for action, what has happened, if anything? So Kazim, can I start with you?
Yes, thank you very much, DG Manny, for providing this opportunity to share my views about during this webinar. And in response to your question, I would say, let me share with you that Pakistan does not just seek to we are already building the different institutional architecture and such policies to institutionalize the evaluation, including monitoring and evaluation in the national government. And even in the sub-national, we call it the provincial governments actually. So I would like to share that the present scenario, the present situation, what is actually we have achieved. The number one is we have the rules of business 1973. As per the Constitution of Pakistan, Article 90 and 99 of the Constitution of the Pakistan, the Cabinet Division headed by the Honorable Prime Minister of Pakistan, they mandated the Ministry of Planning and Development, which is my institution actually, to actually monitor the implementation of the development program, especially the Public Sector Development Program, PSDP. We call it PSDP. and even the donor finance projects, and priority is the mega projects actually. So that is our, the federal government has the rules of business, which is 1973 Schedule 2 actually guide this about this. Based on this, actually, the Ministry of Planning or the Planning Commission actually has established the operational M&E wing, as we have the different other wings, the technical sections, the federal government or the Ministry of Planning. So we have standalone operational M&E wing, which is actually delivering the monitoring and evaluation of the PSDP and donors finance fund. So institution is there. M&E institution is there within the integrated in the Ministry of Planning and Development. Third thing is we have the projects manual. Actually, the Ministry of Planning and Development has developed the projects manual. We have actually to manage the project cycle management for different development programs, and that manual has the different chapters, and the exclusively we have the M&E chapter to actually guide the whole processes, the templates, and etc. for the operational management of the projects M&E. And I, based on that, and let me share with you, that is actually the success we can say before the Tokyo call, or we can say, and also we were actually meeting at the different APEA forums. So we have initiated the process for the M&E policy development of the national government of Pakistan. So I would say I made a lot of efforts to convince these leadership, and then by the grace of Allah, we have achieved that, and now we have the draft of the M&E policy after the consultation with the diverse stakeholders, the academia, government institution, provincial governments, donors, every the civil society organizations. So we have the draft, and that is now near to approval at the Ministry of Planning level, and then it will be submitted to the federal cabinet division for the formal approval, chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister of Pakistan. So this is actually the situation. Now I would like to share with you some priorities based on the Tokyo call and the our own situation. The number one priority is the approval of the M&E policy of the national government of Pakistan at the Ministry of Planning and Development level, and then we will be submitting that to the federal cabinet, chaired by the Honorable Minister. So we have the priority to actually first to get the approved M&E policy of the government of Pakistan. That is our first priority. And the secondly thing is, I'm based on my learnings and also the Tokyo call, I would like to to highlight or to improve the importance and the motivation of the leadership. We to implement the findings and recommendation of the evaluation what we are actually conducting in true letter and spirit and in a more organized fold. That's why actually, based on this, actually we myself also made effort to exclusively establish an implementation and compliance unit to actually implement the findings and recommendations of the evaluation for the development of the future development policies, strategies, and the development projects, actually based on the lesson learned, and the success stories to future improve the future. That will actually affect the more the promotion of the evaluation. So that is our second priority. Thirdly, I would say the capacity building of the M&E professionals of the M&E wing of Ministry of Planning. So I'm very much trying to coordinate with different organization donors and different organization to provide that especially the advanced and emerging skills, AI and digitization, etc. for the capacity building of MESA. So Pakistan, there is a strong political will. Let me share with you. In Pakistan, presently there is a strong political will to institutionalize the MNE, especially the present political leadership has already taken such steps to embed MNE in national laws, policies, and system for promotion of transparency, accountability, and evidence-based of decision making. And prime ministers, honorable prime ministers, has exclusively mentioned that for each, especially the mega projects, you have to have the third party M&E monitoring and evaluation to actually have the accountability, transparency, and the judicious use of the resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kazim. Certainly an impressive set of actions already taking place. As you pointed out, the commitment from the top is going to be critical, and you have that. It's great to hear also that the institutional bases in the government, not just international but subnational, are in place. And we note that the priorities going forward for action, further action, is to implement, to actually pass the M&E policy and implement the recommendations, and finally capacity building. Thank you for getting us off on the right foot. Ramesh, if I could turn to you from the point of view of parliamentarians like yourself, what are the priority actions that you see critical from that point of view?
Thank you, Emmanuel, and good evening to all the fellow panelists and all the participants. This is my privilege to be in this panel and give my view on behalf of Parliament. I wrote before and little bit linked to the case of Nepal. When we had this Tokyo call for action,
Ramesh,
my event here in Tokyo. So, and after that, we tried. Yes, do you hear me?
now we can, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Honorable Prakasa and me, myself, joined the event in Tokyo, and then we encouraged the fellow parliamentarians to get sign the Tokyo Call for Actions, and then two highlights about the priority actions, especially from the Parliament's point of view. The first thing would be to strengthen legal and institutional frameworks. That's in Nepal we have Monitoring and Evaluation Act 2024, but that is still half done, I would say, because there is act, but there is no procedure law in place. So we are kind of advocating for that, and it's good to mention like. When we had this Tokyo Call for Action, the political changes in Nepal, like we had this Genji movement, and then we had no parliament then. So end of March we have new government and we have parliament now. So I'm hopeful like it will be this new parliament will act on that. And the second priority action would be to embed evaluation in parliamentary oversight functions, like systematically use evaluation evidence for scrutinizing government performance, budget reviews, and policy oversight. And another would be to establish dedicated parliamentary committees or on evaluation that we have can be priority would be to promote demand for and use of evaluation, because the parliamentarians should actively demand high quality evaluations from the executive and require government ministries and agencies to present evaluation results during budget hearings and policy debates. And then the next one would be to build parliamentary capacity. So invest in regular training and capacity development for parliamentarians and parliamentary staffs on evaluation concepts, methods, and use of evaluation. And as I mentioned, like in Nepal, we have strong collaboration with agencies, like we have active BOPEs, collaboration with them, so to make it more effective. And we need to integrate evaluation into budgeting and SDG and local governance. So link evaluation with performance-based budgeting and SDG monitoring in Nepal. So federal context, extend this to provincial and local levels for more effective decentralized governance. I'll stop it here. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much, Ramesh. I think that your words echo those of Romy in his opening remarks, in which the legislative branch of government is very interestingly being more heavily involved in evaluation, because it's their job to scrutinize the budgets and the programs of the executive branch. And so, and it's really also interesting to hear that in both branches of government, capacity building is a very important task at hand. Yuriko, you've heard from these two very important government counterparts, both at the executive level as well as the legislative level, about their priorities and needs. From the point of view of the voluntary evaluation community, what are the actions that you think are critical to make sure that evaluation becomes embedded in these countries?
Okay, can I start my thing? Okay, thank you, Easy Money. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I'm from Tokyo. It's 10 o'clock at night. Okay. First of all, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to APEA for the successful organization of the 5th APEA conference in Tokyo last year. And yes, we are very honored to co-host that conference. And also, we are also grateful for the opportunity to continue our collaboration through this webinar. So regarding the first question, I would like to just begin by briefly just introducing some distinctive characteristics of JES. And JES is a highly diverse professional society, so our members come from a wide range of academic disciplines and professional fields in Japan. Of course, the members include the government officers, universities, private companies, civil society organizations, and many other sectors. And also the areas of expertise include public administration, economics, management, or of course, international development and healthcare and social welfare, and so many different fields. So I would like to basically today talk on the role of that diversified JES organization to enhance institutionalization of evaluation system of various organizations, including government in Japan. And to achieve this mission, JES has established 7 strategic priorities in the midterm plan. Explain all the 7 strategic priorities, but amongst them, I would say that I would like to highlight 2 strategies that are particularly relevant to the Tokyo Call for Action
especially related to the strengthening the professionalization of evaluation, which might be similar to the capacity building of the evaluation personnel. Not only the personnel, but also the organization itself. And to those two strategies, one is the enhancement of our evaluation training program, professional program. And the second one is the activation of our research groups, kind of the topical groups of the evaluation. And from our perspective, the foundation of evaluation institutionalization is the development of evaluation capacity. Whether we, as I said, it's not only the individual capacity, but organization as a whole. Whether we are promoting evidence-based policy making, participatory evaluation with citizen engagement, or academic programs in evaluation, the success ultimately depends on the availability of the people and also the organization, capacity of the organization, which is composed those people belongs. And so we can conduct evaluation according to sound ethical principles and also possess the knowledge of evaluation theory and practice methodology. So for this reason, JES has offered a 6-day JES Satisfied Evaluator Training Program since 2008. The program is conducted 2 or 3 times each year. Now the demand for this, I mean, there are so many needs for this program. So we are thinking to increase the number of the trainings. Current up to now, approximately 1,000 individuals have completed the training. And in recent years, participation has expanded beyond government agencies and consultants. We have also seen the growing interest from the private sector and financial institutions, particularly connection with impact investment and social finance. And in addition, every year, several officials from Japan's Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, which is responsible for national policy evaluation system, they also participate in the program. This is the one of the priority that just is now promoting, enhancing, that might relate to a part of the Tokyo Call for Action. And another important pillar is our research group activities, or the topical groups. Provide opportunities for members to meet regularly, present their research, and deepen discussion on specific evaluation topics. Currently, we have 9 research groups. I just list the one is the research groups such as evidence-based policy making and practice, and strengthening evaluation functions in the legislature. These are very much related to the government field. And also, there are research groups such as evaluation ethics and standards, or the research on approaches to value judgment, which is more like meta theory of the evaluation. And also the research groups in the different areas, such as education, science and technology, and also arts and culture, those things. And also the research group include the certain particular evaluation approach or evaluation theory, like developmental evaluation by Michael Patton, or the social impact evaluation. And many of these research themes closely correspond to the priorities identified in the Tokyo Call for Action. Although I think, I suppose that the connection between these activities and institutionalization of evaluation systems in Japan may not always be direct relationship, but we believe they provide an essential foundation. And evaluation inherently interdisciplinary and cross-sectoral. So therefore, knowledge generated through these research groups contribute to building the intellectual and professional infrastructure necessary for strengthening evaluation systems in the future. That's all for that. Thank you very much and look forward to discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eriko. Certainly the points you raise about the VOPEs having a critical role in Japan in building capacity, both in government and outside government, is really important. But you also raised the interesting point that the research community, building a research community so that the field is advanced, is something that we need to think about. Jos, if I could turn to you from the point of view of development partners who are trying to support certainly governments, but also non-sovereign actors in developing countries to try to build up their systems to ensure that their programs are shown to be effective, and when they're not, to take corrective action. What is it that international financial institutions, MDBs, but any donors can do to help support that system buildup? What are the priorities from your point of view? Jos?
Thank you very much, Manny, and also thank you very much to APEA for inviting me to this webinar. And it's really great to hear from M&E champions in government, previous two speakers, and also from the previous speaker from VOPE about all the things that are happening to strengthen the institutionalization of evaluation. So as a multilateral development bank, I think there are a number of factors that make us well placed to support the agenda of institutionalization of evaluations in the countries where we work. A few of these characteristics are, first of all, we have a specific mandate for supporting evaluation capacity development in client countries. And historically, I think this has also allowed us to build up some experience and a track record in this field. And in case of my own institution, the Independent Evaluation Group in the World Bank, we have been working on a global training program, IPTET, which started about 25 years ago. In 2010, we started with the CLEAR network, and since 2020, we have bundled our evaluation capacity development activities in the Global Evaluation Initiative, which, as some of you may know, is kind of a concerted initiative that brings together some financing partners, including IEG itself, to basically combine and channel support through a number of implementing partners in a more systematic way to different clients, different developing countries across the globe that demand evaluation capacity development support. And I think the role of a multilateral development bank here is important because it has convening power and it helps to open doors with government actors to start the engagement effectively. Now, in the Global Evaluation Initiative, we have started with a new strategy to try and be as effective and efficient as possible with our scarce resources to support this agenda. So the first pillar is kind of a pathway in which we strengthen institutionalization through strengthening the field of evaluation practice. So here we use global convening, regional convening, but also providing and brokering knowledge goods on evaluation systems and practices to support the field of evaluation in general. And we have a knowledge repository called Battery Evaluation. We have this initiative, the Global Evaluation Week. We support the National Evaluation Capacity Development Conference and so on. So these are activities, also the IPTET Global Training Program that we kind of implement to support any evaluation stakeholders across the globe to help them build up their skills and also to help raise awareness around the importance of evaluation. Now, the second pathway is more direct. Here we focus on directly engaging with actors in countries to help enhance their evaluation systems and practices. And this second pathway is also more focused. We all heard from previous speakers that in order to institutionalize evaluation in a country, that really requires a systemic approach. So it requires really changes of different actors and different institutions at different levels. And of course, we have very limited resources, so we have to be strategic here. So our focus is in a limited number of countries where we work with national and subnational governments, around 25 or so, to make sure that we can offer not just piecemeal support, but engage with them more on a long-term trajectory, which is often non-linear, to move forward the agenda of institutionalization of evaluation. So in our case, we tend to engage with center of government institutions, ministries of planning, ministries of finance, president's offices. And the way we do it is that we usually try to conduct a kind of diagnostic exercise to understand national or subnational planning, monitoring and evaluation systems, also the budgeting system. And on the basis of that diagnosis, in collaboration with our partners, develop some type of plan, which then leads to action. Could be trainings, technical assistance, advisory work. And our goal is really to work with in-country partners to strengthen the legislative policy environment for evaluation, to strengthen organizational processes that connect evaluations to decision makers, but also to develop individual capacities to better design, conduct, and use evaluations. To be even more strategic, we also try to seek synergies between these two levels. So in our global activities, we also try to involve as much as possible those actors that we engage with directly at the country level. So to conclude, I would like to emphasize two things in this quest for institutionalization of evaluation. First of all, something that we know and that we also clearly heard, for example, from our previous speakers, institutional development and developing an evaluation culture, a system of evaluation, is a long-term process that can be non-linear. So in our experience, we have seen some successes in some countries, but only then later on to see this progress being reversed when a new government comes in. So sometimes you have to, from our perspective, engage when there's an opportunity space, then disengage again, and then engage again. So it's really a long-term engagement that we're talking about. And secondly, importantly, even though the Global Evaluation Initiative is a concerted initiative, we have built up some economies of scale, some professionalism in this area, we continue to be very small in relation to the challenge. So we need to become much better at a number of things. For example, we need to develop much better partnerships with our operational arms of our MDBs, the World Bank, but also other MDBs. But more importantly, for the community as a whole, I think it really remains still fragmented. And I still see that a lot of institutions who support evaluation capacity development try to do it on their own. And I think with the limited resources that we have available to us and the size of the challenge, we really have to find ways to work better together. And that is why I also think initiatives such as the Tokyo Declaration are important kind of signposts that help us work better together going forward. So let me stop here and over to you, Manny.
Thanks, Jos. Your point that working at these two levels, at both institution, at the individual level in which you're training, building capacity, as Yuriko mentioned, they're doing through their own training programs, but also providing more direct support to governments for institution building is something that I think would resonate well. So maybe I could use that actually to go back to Kazim and Podial. So you've heard what's on offer from the development partners to help you potentially address the constraints that the priorities that you mentioned for your in Pakistan and Nepal. What would be your main ask from these development partners, given what's on offer? What are the things that you'd like to see the international community do to help you really answer that call to action in Tokyo? So, Kazim, over to you.
So thank you, Manny. And yours very correctly mentioned his experiences. But I actually earlier mentioned the political will is the major actually opportunity for us actually at the senior leadership level, and then the continuity of that the political systems, so that if you when same is the case like the World Bank and ADB is to have to engage again and again with the new the political setups, the continuity is very important for the support and any promotion of the MNE. And obviously, we have the same opportunity now in Pakistan. The political leadership is very much committed to promote the MNE for the transparency and the accountability in the use of resources. It could be from any the internal, the public sector, the tax money, and even the international financial institution. They are very much sensitive, and they are actually mentioning again and again to have the independent and efficient M&E systems to utilize and the we can say the value for the money actually. So World Bank or yours correctly pointed out. But I would say, like many you ask about this, the what we are expecting from the government side. As I'm the the as individual performing, delivering, being a part of these different forums, APA and the ideas and different the evaluation forums. So learn from these forums and then try to actually engage the my leadership and my seniors actually being the part of their teams as a team member and manager of the M&E wing. But obviously, I believe the international community, the donors, the international financial institutions, especially the World Bank and the ADB, these institutions has very important role to in the promotion of M&E, even evaluation, in strengthening the M&E systems and policies actually. And let me share with you yours. You mentioned I was. Let me also share. I was also part of your very learning IPTAT training in back into 2023. So thank you for that. Your support for the government of Pakistan. But I think what you said, you can. I think this is my learning based on my experience with the part of the government. Actually, the you can better influence and support the government in the promotion of these, even according to the Tokyo Call or anything else, in the legislation of the MNE's policies and the systems. But don't rely on your IPs. We don't have any good experience. We have the lesson learned in the like as learned like IMF and World Bank, like you if you when you engage the government for the different support and projects and strategies development, if IEO, the World Bank and ADB also integrate the M&E agenda within that, like they ask for the fiscal reforms to have the better tax collection, and then implementation, etc. So if you integrate the M&E capacities enhancement within that, the dialogue and then the agreements. So and then you just follow up directly from the your World Bank or ADB with the government rather than your IPs. Don't rely on those partners. So you can better and efficiently and less with less time. I think this is my observation. We can strengthen the national and then the subnational. We have the M&Es section directorates and cell. We call it directorate cells, and the even the our subnational Punjab government has also developed the M&E policy, and that is near to approval before the national government. So you can actually engage the governments, and you can actually support the in the promotion of these legislation and the policies development. Another thing is, like as my experience is, we have to highlight through the different seminars and these events to highlight the importance of evaluations. So we have less the importance understanding about the why we are actually conducting the evaluation, the lesson learned, what is their use after the termination of the project, why we are actually doing that. So that is actually important, very much needed to understand these our decision makers, that why we are conducting. So that will actually save your money, your efforts for the future, for any failed the policies, and if you evaluated the failed policies and the projects, so that will ultimately save your money and efforts for the future projects, because that will integrate in the future policies and the processes. So that needs the efforts, and we like to collaborate with the different donors and even WOPEs. And
Thank you, Kazim.
okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think that is now almost all
Yes, no,
points
it's
I
terrific.
covered.
And I'll ask you to respond, Yos, in a second. But can I turn to Ramesh first? And from Nepal's point of view, what is your ask? And maybe you could also talk about what you might want to expect, not just from the international development partners, but from the VOPEs in your own country. I know Nepal, like in Japan, does have a pretty robust voluntary group of evaluators who are trying to support the system there. So Ramesh, over to you.
I hope I'm audible because there was some issue with my video and the internet. So
Yes, that's fine.
yeah, thank you, Emmanuel, for this opportunity. Based on the views shared by Josh and uh, uh, the panelists, I just want to highlight some of the constraints we are facing in Nepal uh, case. So we have like limited technical capacity, like most parliamentarians and parliamentary staffs lack deep evaluation knowledges. And so if we can work in that sector from the help of the international community, that would be certainly helpful. And we have a weak evidence-based culture, like patronage-based politics often overrides evaluation findings that you all know. So, and then we have these resource and implementation gaps, like funding, qualified evaluators, and data systems remain weak, especially at provincial and local levels. And we have like fragmented coordination, like uh, federalism creates coordination challenges between tiers of government that we all know, and then we are facing that because Nepal has entered into federal structure only a decade ago, so we are quite new in this experience. So we are facing that constraints, and then the long-standing political instability. Like we had for 3.5 decades we had all the time like government that lasted for 1 year and 1.5 as maximum. So, but now we have a single party majority government from the recent election, so we can be hopeful in that regard. So these are
Okay, thank you very much, Ramesh.
Constraints support. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ramesh. So maybe I could now turn back to Yos and Yuriko. You heard about what there's a lot of political will in on the government side, both at the executive and parliamentary level, but there are some real constraints, including the fact that politics is messy, and they require support, but also that the capacity building takes time. So I'll turn it over to Jos first, then Yuriko. What are some of the things that could be done to address these more particular asks, which are potentially quite more difficult than because it goes beyond technical solutions. So Jos, over to you.
Thank you, Manny, and very good discussion. So political will is very important. So I see this at two levels. So one level is to engage sustainably with our partners at the level of the tech, let's say the M&E level. So the champions in government who support the M&E agenda, some M&E unit or some unit in Ministry of Planning, to be, long-time partners with those colleagues. That is one political level. That is something that we have been doing, I think, quite effectively. The other is much more difficult, and I think Kazim really pointed out something very important that is missing in terms of how we approach M&E capacity development from the side of the MDBs. So if I talk about my own institution, the World Bank, we of course have policy dialogue with governments to which we lend. The problem is the M&E capacity development agenda is nested in independent evaluation, and independent evaluation does not work like an operational entity and is kind of disconnected from operations. Whereas M&E capacity development really is an operational activity. We see that there is M&E capacity development taking place in World Bank operations, but it's happening in a really fragmented way, sometimes as part of a public sector management or a good governance kind of agenda or program. So we really have to find ways where our M&E capacity development program can become more effective as an operational entity, and that is difficult. So how can we, and we have had conversations throughout the World Bank Group with different operations colleagues, how can we make sure that in the policy dialogue with the government, M&E capacity development as a cornerstone of good governance, learning, and accountability, and so on, is taken more seriously, because we know that there is a demand. So that requires that there is an alliance between the champions that we work with well in government and ourselves and our counterparts in the World Bank Group who engage in this policy dialogue. Now, the World Bank has several instruments through which we can support the agenda. The policy dialogue itself, there are some lending instruments which are related to, which rely on reforms undertaken by the government in order for the loan to happen. This is called policy lending operation. So this is a way where the World Bank can help push the M&E agenda. And of course, there might be particular opportunities for lending operations or even grant financing that continues support for the M&E agenda. The problem is we are currently not organized in the right way to make this happen yet. So we are working on this, but it's not easy. Let me stop here.
No, yes, what you said resonates well with me, having experienced in a couple of multilateral development banks. So we've heard from a couple of countries now, at least here in Pakistan and Nepal, in which there's strong political will. The question is, will that turn into a request from the ministries of finance from these two countries for a loan to help build the M&E systems in these countries? And that's where I think will be able to make a real difference, as opposed to the individual training, which is helpful because Kazim went to IPDET after all, but may not be at scale. So I think that's a very interesting point. Eureka, if I could turn to you,
Can I add that?
Please go ahead,
Can I
and then I'll
respond
turn
that?
to Eureka. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, as you mentioned, always the capacity development is not just the trainings. Actually, let me say these things. And as yours very openly mentioned, that needs more organized efforts from your side, and you can actually make the difference. This is because when we are actually facilitating them, they try to say that okay, that we need. Why not, if they are not asking or requesting you to support us, maybe different reasons, I can mention different the reasons. Why not you, if you are understanding these whole things, as you are very much aware, why not you actually say we need this system, actually, like I mentioned the IMF say we need that fiscal reforms, the tax collection system, etc. So why not you actually in an organized fold, you just in a policy dialogue or something like that, whatever you have the internal system, please come up with the support and facility, not just the trainings. Actually, training is a soft component. You just come up for the the legislation, the in the in the in the in the a constitution, in the constitutional, in the parliament integration, then the policy, M&E policy formulation, then institutional arrangements. You need that. If you are much more know these what is systems and what is the policy development. So please, if they are not requesting you, you can come up that you need this thing, and you can even conduct the capacity need assessment of the institution, and then based on that capacity need assessment, you come up with the action plan that needs your you're lacking in these things. Thank you.
Okay, now thanks. We can get back to that, Kazim. Very important point. But I wanted to turn to Eureka first on, you've heard some of the things that these governments are asking for. What can VOPIs do to help fill these gaps of capacity that really are not just, it's very impressive that there were 1,000 people, for example, trained in Japan. But I would imagine you need many more than that in your training. So what would it take to build capacity at the scale that these countries need from the VOPE side?
Okay, thank you. I would say that, well, in Japan, we also faced similar problems in Japan, although we have a evaluation law enacted like only 2000, so about 25 years ago. So therefore, all the government or local government have to, it's mandate to evaluate all the policies and programs. But the problem is that they do it because they have to do it. It's mandate. But how they do it, or the kind of the quality of those monitoring evaluation itself, is a different story. So if we say that institutionalization, whether the Japan, the institutionalization of evaluation system is already, implemented, we would say yes. But institutionalization itself doesn't ensure that all of us are doing the right monitoring and evaluation in the right way. I think that is whole issue. And anyway, what I heard from the discussions from the panelists, one of the issues that I come up in my mind is that those people who plan the policy and who implement the policy or programs are different. And actually, the evaluation have to start from the planning stage, right? whether or not, based on the needs assessment. Needs assessment is also a very important evaluation component to whom we are doing, what are we going to achieve, those discussions. That's a planning stage. And also the budget is somehow allocated. But when the people implement at the site, they are not really involved in the planning stage. It's separate. Therefore, when we actually conduct the evaluation, there is a gap between the policy-making people and those people who implement. I think this is a big issue. And what we are trying to do, one of the just what is trying to do is that one way is that just as if evaluation professionals try to deliver the services of kind of accompanying support. We are not evaluating. Those people who evaluate is those people who implement the program itself. But we do support their evaluation activities so that they can somehow institutionalize the evaluation in their organizations, and they themselves can incorporate those evaluation activities in the management cycle. So those, what's called it, I don't know, this English is okay, accompanying support or a kind of empowerment evaluation type. In empowerment evaluation, the evaluator is not the one who assesses the evaluation results, but who support or facilitate the evaluation. And people who are involved actually in the programs, they themselves evaluate, but certainly they might need some support. So what we are trying to do is to support those people who try to institutionalize evaluation system or conduct evaluation by themselves at the site, so that they can by themselves, not us. I don't think not the World Bank, but people who are at the site who actually implement or plan the policy and implement, those people by themselves try to institutionalize and implement evaluation. That is a very important thing. Whose evaluation what we are doing? Who has the ownership of the evaluation? This is what another issue. Donors do not have the ownership. Well, of course, donors themselves have to have it as a donor, but those policy planning and those implementations are by maybe if I use the word, the recipient side. So, that kind of support is very important. And recently that Jess has also had a kind of research group that I introduced to you. I try to make a kind of a theory and then try to implement those supports.
Thank you, Yuriko. A very important new point. And I'd like to ask actually Jos to opine on this point about are we really evaluating from the point of view of those people on the ground as opposed to the people who design budgets and allocate funds? And do they require different things? But while you do that, can I ask the audience to please think about your questions? You can post them online, but I'm also happy to recognize people who want to speak and ask a question very succinctly after Jos speaks. Please also, so Jos, over to you, just quickly to reflect on what Yuriko just mentioned.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. And what we see also in some of the countries where we work is that there are very different traditions and different views on what evaluation is about. So if you are institutionalizing evaluation in a government institution from a, let's say, administrative compliance perspective, then you usually are not that much concerned with reflecting properly beneficiary or stakeholder perspectives, because in a way you are thinking more narrowly from, what is the administrative purpose of this evaluation. If you truly think of evaluation as an exercise that can help you learn, then I think it is inevitable that you have to pay more attention to really reflecting different stakeholder perspectives in the evaluative analysis. And if you want to go beyond that, if you want to make the evaluation more formative, so actually use the process of evaluation as an instrument to improve the program, then you really need to think seriously about a participatory approach. The problem is that at least at the national government, these higher level, big complex evaluations of national strategies or sectoral programs, they are so complex that stakeholder involvement easily becomes very, very complicated. But of course, when we talk more about individual projects and discrete interventions where the roles and responsibilities of actors are quite clear and there are clear, let's say, boundaries, it makes it more possible to involve more different stakeholders, including beneficiaries, and also help that not just to improve the learning from the exercise, but also to use it as an empowerment exercise and improve the intervention. I could speak more to this, but let me stop.
No, thanks very much, Jos. I would like now to ask the audience if they have any questions to any of the panelists. Please please raise your hand or post any questions on the chat. Please all try to address say to which panelist you would like to address your question. So the floor is open to anybody who may want to pose a question, and we will take a round. So please just raise your hand and feel free to do so. In the meantime, if I could just turn back to while you're thinking in the audience, if I could turn back to the panel to reflect on this issue, especially from perhaps Ramesh, over to you, and from your view as a legislator, on the point Eureka raised about how we make sure that the ultimate beneficiaries, who after all vote for the people in Parliament, benefit from these evaluation systems. Ramesh?
Thank you, Emmanuel, but there was some glitch, so I might miss the first part of your question. Can you please repeat it?
So the question is, Eureka raised the point that it's sometimes difficult. It is difficult to ensure that the people on the ground who are dealing with the beneficiaries are actually benefiting from the evaluation and are engaged with it. From the parliamentarian's point of view, is that something that you have seen and been concerned about?
I feel the same, but same is first portion of the question. Sorry, Emmanuel.
Okay. Sorry, we didn't catch you. Anyway, look, there's a question. We'll come back to this. Can I ask Gerald to please pose your question?
Thank you. And I have a question from the Josh. And when I drafting the Mongolian National Evaluation Guidelines, I read a lot about the guidelines from these development donor banks and donor organizations. And then at that time, I thought about this one again, where should be, national M&E be located to be most effective, under the Prime Minister or Ministry of Finance or, Ministry of Economy or Planning? And how can we ensure evaluation results are actually used to more improve government decisions?
Yes.
So there is no blueprint for where central government M&E function should lie or should reside, because the way governments are organized differs across countries. What is very important is that there is a central entity that has access to central policy debates, let's call it Parliament or Congress, and inform Parliament or Congress about important issues that influence discussions around national development plans, big national policies, budgeting processes, and so on. So these central government entities can reside in different places of government. Sometimes it's the president's office, sometimes it's the Ministry of Finance, sometimes it's the Ministry of Planning. It becomes more complicated, and I'm sorry, I don't speak particularly to the Mongolian situation, when there is competition in government for that function. And we have seen that happening in a number of cases where there's actually lack of clarity where that central M&E function resides, or that central, and then you have a problem. So important is that this very clearly described and defined in national policy where this function resides and how that works. Let me stop here.
Thanks, Yos. I was wondering if Ramesh or Kazim have a view on, from their governments, where should that central M&E function reside in government?
Okay.
Kazim?
Thank you.
Can I respond?
Please. Okay, Ramesh first, then Kazim.
Okay. Thank you, Emmanuel. And now I got a question, and thank you, Giral, for sending me questions also. So to me, like this is better. It would be better to put under the designated committee under the parliament, because when the things are under the prime minister's department, that's more like again there is a issue of kind of a separation of power, and then if you have to be critical on the executive's performance sometime, then there has to be proper evaluation body within the parliament. And in Nepal's case also, like we have by the constitutions of 2015, like our parliament has a very strong mandate to carry out this evaluation thing. So I believe like there has to be quite a strong body within the parliament. Thank you.
Thank you. Kazim, your point of view.
Okay, thank you very much, Manny. And first of all, I would like to endorse the Ramesh point of view. There has to be supremacy of the M&E at the parliament level. Like I'm also looking for that, to actually integrate the M&E system by organizing the M&E policy, M&E committee of the parliamentarians, because as we have already different sectorals, sectoral committees of the parliamentarians. So that is missing actually, and I would say we have to have that M&E committee in the parliament to actually oversee getting the findings, recommendation, and then oversee the implementation of those, the findings and recommendations from the evaluations forwarded by the M&E wing or any the institution. And at the placing of that residing where it should be reside. I think what we have the experience in Pakistan, who is actually the planning and which institution is actually planning the different development programs. There should be the MNE, the institution may be placed. That is my personal, because I give you the examples by learnings. As we were facing during the evaluations, the non-compliance or their capacity issues, they were not developing uh, the log frames, what we say RBM matrix we have set in the PC1 of the projects. PC1 is a planning document of every project for the approval. So we were facing the development of the RBM matrix. So we, being a part of the planning, so we actually approach the within the institution that improve the your RBM matrix and avoid to go for the approval of any PC1 or any project without having the quantifiable indicators, performance indicators of the results of the the projects. So we actually almost we are trying to actually, still we are suffering, we are trying to improve that up. So my submission is that has to be placed at the planning institution. Yeah, at any country they have any, have the different institutions of the planning. It could be strategic planning, and then the annual plans, development plans, and then implementation. If they are overseeing the implementation through the, like we have the 40 ministries, we call it sponsoring ministries. So we provide the funds to the 40 sponsoring ministries, and then the 5-6 provincial governments. So we are overseeing the the implementation of those projects. So M&E wing actually providing that support, the monitoring the implementation, and sometime midterm evaluation, and most of the time the terminal evaluations. So I would say this is my personal view experience, that at the planning unit level the M&E wing is much better and convenient to actually get the results. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kazim. I'm afraid that we're running out of time because we do want to give time for Asela to give the summary and closing remarks to this session. But I want to thank you all for this very spirited discussion so far. But first, let me turn it to Asela for his summary and closing remarks. Asela, over to you.
Thank you, Manny. Thanks for this opportunity to give closing remarks for the global webinar, advancing the Tokyo Call for Actions for Strong National Evaluation Systems, held as part of the Global Evaluation Week this week. This is, I think, one of the 300 plus events this week around the world. And Global shakes the evaluation world through all these events in a week. It's amazing. Tokyo Call for Actions, I love it, especially because of the word actions. When APEA tasked a team to develop an outcome document for its fifth conference, the team's first reaction was, we have many declarations focusing on commitments. What we need is action. So we should aim to promote actions for institutionalization of evaluation. The team worked hard, shake their brains, had series of discussions to prepare a path for all stakeholders to get into actions. That's how the Tokyo Call for Actions was born. It's a living document until we see evaluation is institutionalized in our countries, until stakeholders collaborate for joint efforts. This webinar is a milestone in advancing Tokyo Call for Actions. I'm happy to see that all our speakers made it a rich dialogue by blending their knowledge and also experience in M&E systems from the governments, development partners, war pairs, and parliaments. And young evaluators can also play an important role in this regard. A month ago, there was Evaluate Sri Lanka organized webinar for young and emerging evaluators on the same topic. This webinar brought together government representatives, parliamentarians, WOPE leaders, and partners from the World Bank and ADB. So our heartfelt thanks to audience for active participation. I also thank you, Manny, our Director General, Independent Evaluation Department, Asian Development Bank for great moderation. You made it a live dialogue, Manny. And also Professor Yoko Ishida, President of Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, for welcome remarks, and Dr. Romilo Meral, Deputy Secretary General, House of Representatives, Philippines, for opening remarks, and our wonderful panelist, Kasim Abbas Shah, Director of Monitoring and Evaluation Planning Commission, Government of Pakistan, Ramesh Poddar, Executive Committee Member, Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, and Yoriko Minamoto, President of Japan Evaluation Society, Josh Watson, Chief Evaluation Officer and Senior Advisor, Independent Evaluation Group, the World Bank. Thank you, the panelists, for bringing how national governments, WOPEs, parliaments, and development partners can collaboratively working on institutionalization of evaluation. It was a great dialogue, great discussion on this issue. Finally, I want to say this is just the start. We have a long journey. Let's start with simple and practical things we can do from our ends. Our collective efforts can make a big difference in national M&E systems. Time is today, not tomorrow. We can make it. Let's start today. Thank you very much, and back to you, Manny.
Thank you very much, Sela, for a very good summary and also your kind words. Randika, over to you for some announcements.
Thank you, DG Manny. Before that, everyone, let's take a group picture. Ahmed, okay, everyone, please on your camera. Ahmed, are you there?
Yes, please everyone, open your camera. We have 2 pages right now. Okay, and the picture from page 1. And page 2. Okay, thank you.
You can. Announcements. So we have our Tokyo call to action. We encourage everyone to scan and sign it if you haven't signed it and be part of this initiative and to create awareness on the Tokyo Declaration. And next, we have our next webinar coming up in 3 weeks on relationships building with Dr. Bob Dick from Australia and our moderator, Carly, who's from the Global Fund for Children. And I hope everyone will join, and the registrations will be out tomorrow. And then we have partnered with the Eval community. So anyone interested in taking an AI class, but if your WOPE is a member of APEA and you're a member of your national WOPE, you can get a 25% discount if you take part, if you're interested to take part in the AI in monitoring and evaluation course. So that's the main announcements. Over back to you, DJ Manny.
Thank you very much, Randy. And again, thank you very much on my behalf to APEA for organizing this webinar, and of course to my fellow panelists and the other speakers for a very interesting conversation. One of the things I take away from this is that we have to be opportunistic and that there's never a better time than now to try to seize the moment, because political will comes and goes with respect to these kinds of calls for action. And we should strike when the iron is hot. So thank you for organizing this event, and I wish you all a good day or a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Manny. It's very
Ahmed,
Bye.
stop
Thank
the
you.
Thank
recording.
you.
Yeah,
Please
Allah.
stop the